Get ready, collectors, because today we're uncovering two Lincoln pennies that many people overlook. Yet in the right condition, with the right details, they can be worth far more than 1 cent. These coins were struck during one of the most dramatic years in modern American history, a time of change, silver shortages, and rising demand at the U.S. Mint. Hidden among billions of ordinary-looking pennies are rare high-grade gems, fascinating mint errors, and collectible varieties that serious numismatists hunt for every single day. 1964 Lincoln Penny 1 cent coin. The 1964 Lincoln Penny represents a turning point in American coinage. The year 1964 was filled with national tension, economic pressure, and an unprecedented coin shortage. Americans were hoarding silver coins because rising silver prices made the metal content more valuable than face value. Although the Lincoln cent was still composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the overall coin shortage affected cent production dramatically. The Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark in 1964, struck an astonishing number of Lincoln pennies to meet public demand. More than 2.6 billion 1964 Lincoln cents were produced in Philadelphia alone. On paper, that makes this coin extremely common. But in the world of coin collecting, mintage numbers are only part of the story. The obverse design features Victor David Brenner's timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above Lincoln's head is the inscription, "I in God we trust." To the left, liberty appears clearly, and the date 1964 is positioned on the right. Because this is a Philadelphia issue, there is no mint mark below the date. The reverse displays the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial replaced the earlier wheat ears design. Within the memorial, if you look closely, you can see a tiny depiction of the Lincoln statue inside, a remarkable detail for a 1 cent coin. The inscriptions United States of America and 1 cent dominate the reverse, along with E pluribus unum. What makes the 1964 Lincoln penny fascinating to collectors is not scarcity in circulation, but scarcity in pristine condition. Because so many were produced quickly to address the coin shortage, quality control at times suffered. Many coins entered circulation with weak strikes, contact marks, and poor luster. As a result, finding a sharply struck, fully red, high-grade mint state example is much harder than the mintage suggests. In circulated grades, a 1964 penny is typically worth only a few cents above face value due to its copper content. However, uncirculated examples graded MS65 red can command significantly higher premiums. In MS66 red, values rise further, and superb gem MS67 red examples can reach into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction, depending on eye appeal and market demand. Color designation plays a major role in value. Copper coins are graded as brown, red-brown, or red. A full red coin retains nearly all of its original mint luster and color. Over time, exposure to air causes oxidation, turning the surface brown. Collectors aggressively pursue full red examples from 1964 because many surviving coins have toned or spotted. Error varieties also elevate the 1964 Lincoln penny into the realm of serious collector interest. One of the most well-known varieties is the 1964 double die obverse. Though not as dramatic as the famous 1955 double die, certain 1964 varieties show visible doubling in the lettering of Liberty and "I in God we trust." These coins can bring strong premiums depending on clarity and condition. Another area of interest is die cracks and cuts. Because dies were used extensively during the high production year, some developed cracks that transferred onto the coins. Large die breaks near the rim can significantly increase value, especially when dramatic and visually striking. Off-center strikes are also collectible. A 1964 penny struck 10 to 20% off-center with a visible date can command strong prices, and more dramatic off-center examples can bring even higher premiums. There is also ongoing speculation and searching for transitional error coins. Although 1964 pennies were officially copper, collectors sometimes test unusual pieces to ensure they are not struck on incorrect planchets. Any confirmed off-metal strike from this year would be extremely valuable. The historical backdrop of 1964 adds emotional weight to this coin. This was the year following President John F. Kennedy's assassination. The nation was in mourning, and by late 1964 the mint was already preparing to introduce the Kennedy half-dollar. The coin shortage and economic pressures would soon lead to major changes in U.S. coin composition in 1965, when silver was removed from dimes and quarters. The 1964 Lincoln Penny represents the last full year before those sweeping changes. For collectors building high-grade registry sets, the 1964 Lincoln Penny is surprisingly challenging. While billions were made, very few survive in flawless MS67 or higher condition with full blazing red surfaces. Auction competition for top-graded examples can be intense. In essence, the 1964 Lincoln Penny teaches an important numismatic lesson. High mintage does not always mean low value. Condition rarity drives the market, and superb quality examples from this year are far scarcer than many realize. 1964 D Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. Now we turn to the Denver Mint issue, the 1964 D Lincoln Penny, and this coin tells an even more dramatic story. In response to the national coin shortage, the Denver Mint went into overdrive. The result was one of the highest mintages for a single-cent coin in American history. The Denver Mint struck over 3.7 billion Lincoln cents in 1964. That staggering number makes it one of the most heavily produced 1-cent coins ever. The small D mint mark beneath the date identifies this coin as being struck in Denver. Like its Philadelphia counterpart, the 1964 D features Brenner's Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial reverse designed by Gasparo. Composition remains 95% copper, giving the coin intrinsic metal value and that rich copper tone collectors appreciate. Because production demands were so extreme, quality once again varied. Many 1964 D pennies display weak strikes, heavy contact marks, and inconsistent luster. Coins were produced rapidly to flood the economy with small change. As a result, gem quality survivors are much harder to find than the mintage suggests. In circulated grades, the 1964 D penny is common and typically worth only a few cents. However, the story changes dramatically in high mint state. MS65 red examples are collectible and affordable, but MS66 red coins command higher premiums. In MS67 red condition, the population drops significantly, and values can climb into the thousands depending on certification and eye appeal. One of the most important factors for 1964 D Lincoln pennies is strike quality. Collectors look closely at Lincoln's hair detail, cheek, and jawline, as well as the steps and columns of the Lincoln Memorial. A sharply struck example with minimal abrasions is far more desirable. Error coins from the Denver Mint add another layer of excitement. Repunched mint marks are highly collectible for this year. Because mint marks were still punched into dies by hand in 1964, slight misalignments could create a doubled appearance of the D. Clear repunched mint mark varieties can command strong premiums, especially in high grade. Double dies are also known for 1964 D cents. Though often minor, certain varieties show noticeable doubling in the lettering and date. Collectors study die variety references carefully to attribute these coins correctly. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and broad strikes are additional collectible errors from 1964 D production. Given the massive output, it's not surprising that mint errors occurred, and dramatic examples are highly sought after today. Another fascinating area involves special mint set, like specimens. Although official special mint sets did not begin until 1965, some 1964 pennies display unusually sharp detail and satin-like surfaces. These are sometimes referred to as SMS-style coins and can be very valuable if authenticated. The 1964 D Lincoln Penny also represents the end of an era in American coinage. Beginning in 1965, the mint temporarily removed mint marks from coins to discourage hoarding and speculation. That makes 1964 the final year before mint marks disappeared for several years. For collectors, this adds historical importance. From an investment perspective, the 1964 D penny offers opportunity in top grades. Registry competition drives demand for the finest known examples. Coins graded MS67 red or higher can achieve impressive auction results. far exceeding what most people would imagine for a common-date penny. Ultimately, the 1964 and 1964 Lincoln pennies prove that rarity is not always about low mintage. Sometimes rarity is about survival in exceptional condition. Billions were struck, but only a tiny fraction remain as pristine, blazing red gems worthy of top registry sets. These coins capture a pivotal moment in American history, the final year before major changes in U.S. coin composition, the height of a national coin shortage, and a country standing at the edge of transformation. For collectors, they represent both accessibility and challenge. You can find them easily in circulation, yet locating a flawless example can take years.